What is going on, you guys? We are going out today and taking some photos. We've got some wonderful snow here in Helsinki, and we're comparing the 50mm 1.8 to the 35mm 1.8 and which one you should be going for. It's really a creative preference, since the price, even though the 35 is twice as much as the 50, they're still relatively in the same price zone. Alright, so one of the biggest considerations I would have when purchasing the 35 or the 50, I already have a video about how, yes, the 35 is a very capable lens, but I don't enjoy the focal length. I would rather go with a 50. But in this case, 50mm is very, very soft when it's wide open, because that's where I feel like most of us want to shoot. But if you're doing video, usually I shoot video at f4, and then the 50mm will be much sharper at f4 than it is at the 1.8. However, this isn't something that the 35 you have to deal with. It's much sharper all the way through the entirety of the lens. So I think that's the first big consideration to make when deciding which one of these two you want to pick up. Another major consideration for the 35 is that it does come with the stabilization, and the 50mm doesn't have that. This isn't a big problem for, say, the R6 and the R5 that have IBIS, but for the RP and any other future iterations of the R series, and actually just the EOS R, neither of those have IBIS, so something to consider. And the one big thing that the 50mm has going for it is how small a package you can get. This is the RP, and it is just absolutely super slick in comparison to, let's say, having the RF 50mm 1.2 on here, or even the kit lens 24-105 that would stick out to here. And it really just makes it a small, compact, super fun to just carry around type lens. And while the 35mm is smaller than most of the other RF glass, it's not quite as small as this package. This is one of those spots where the 35 is going to shine above the 50, simply because we're so close and it's really hard to get as far back as you need with the 50mm. So if you're going to like a cafe and it's super small, the 35. If you got space, the 50. Aha! And as always, price is a consideration with these two lenses. However, they're pretty much in the exact same class, considering that they're only $200 apart. Going from $200 to $400, or I guess it's actually around $500, isn't that big of a jump in comparison to the 50mm 1.8 versus the 50mm 1.2, which is 10 times as expensive. And the upgrade that you get with those extra $300 is a lot more of an upgrade that you get than going to the, for the bang for the buck anyways, than you get from going to the 50 1.2. you want me to hold those, or can we put them up there? Yeah. All right, and this is one of the things with the 50mm is that I wasn't able to get any of the shots that I wanted inside the building just because I needed a wider angle lens, and the 35 provides that. And that's one of the things, when I run around and do weddings, I have two primes, a 100mm and a 35mm. And both this is the RF 35 that I run around with, and then I have the 100mm EF 2.8 macro. And yeah, it fulfills everything that I need for that, but I would not run around with a 50 and a 100. Okay, we've hit our max chill capacity and we're headed back home. And in general, for these two lenses, I would say I would definitely give it a toss-up for whatever you wanted. I use the 35 and own that personally, but that's also just because I need something that's a wide angle, and 35 happens to just be able to cover just about anything you'll need, with a few exceptions when it's not wide enough. The 50mm isn't nearly as sharp, wide open, so getting the maximum bokeh, you're also getting the minimum amount of sharpness, which is unfortunate, but it is a very capable little lens to just carry around. And then there's the cost, and then the IS. If you need IS, 35. If you enjoy the focal lengths, I think that should be your biggest consideration when picking up one or the other lens. So thank you so much for watching. My name is Daniel. Don't forget to check out the links down below if you want to pick up either of these lenses. It really helps out the channel. Thank you for watching, and take care.